Hey everybody, this is Morgan from RacerX Performance Tuning, and once again we are back at Countersteer. Today we're working on a true sleeper. This one is a 1990 Hyundai Sonata. Not only does this unassuming family car look like your dad's car, it actually was the client's father's car when he got it originally back in 1990. But if you find yourself lined up next to this one at the drag strip, you might get your heart broken, because when you pop the hood, you'll find a built, legendary Mitsubishi 4G63, 4G64 combo hiding there. Throw a turbo on there and a Haltech Elite 550 ECU, we've got a recipe for a lot of power. Truly a family car, our client took a lot of time with this labor of love, and this past February, it made its first start.
Fucking A.
Fast forward to this past summer, and it made its maiden voyage as we got the cruise fuel dialed in. It even showed off a little bit of boost power.
Here we are with Max. We got the first drive actually going on. And
looks like rain up there.
rain might be coming, but we're getting this in. Oh, fuck yeah.
It sounds so cool in the bumper.
So let's take a look at the build list. We start off with the Hyundai Sonata GLS 2.4 liter. Then we add in a 4G64 double overhead cam with a 4G63 head. We got aftermarket H-beam rods, ACL race bearings, 2618 pistons on an 8.5 to 1 compression ratio. Next we add in some BC Stage 2 cams, BC valve springs, and ARP head studs. All this is going to power a South Bend Stage 3 clutch. And on top of it all, we got a CX Racing 3576 Gen 2 turbo with FIC 1000cc injectors, and they are supported by a Deechworks 340 LPH fuel pump. As usual, we started off with wide open throttle fuel tuning. The goal here is to get our actual air-fuel ratios to match the targets we set up in our fuel map. The car responded nicely, and with just a few pulls, we were right where we wanted to be. Once we reviewed the data logs, we were able to verify our fuel was right on point. With this, we could see on the dyno we had established a baseline of 290 wheel horsepower and 278 foot-pounds of torque. Now we were ready to start boost tuning. So now it was on to boost tuning. Typically you start off in open loop to determine how much duty cycle you need to run at various RPMs to reach your boost target. If you do a good job here, it makes your closed loop work that much easier. Bring the duty cycle you established in open loop, bring that over to closed loop, and start to work on your proportional, integral, and derivative to keep your targets right in line. favorite tuning platform to work with these days, and it provides a really sophisticated means of managing boost, especially during closed loop duty cycle. So as we were doing the closed loop duty cycle boost tuning on the Sonata, we noticed a little bit of weird stuff happening, some oscillation at the end of the dyno graph, and so it was time to take a look at the data log and to see what was going on. So let's take a look at how things work in Haltech with boost tuning. So when we start off, we're going to start off very kind of initially, as soon as the engine meets all of the thresholds to get into the boost cycle, the first thing you're going to run into this boost state called spooling. So spooling is going to allow the wastegate to stay wide open, basically. Typically, you'll set that up right here. It's off at the moment, but you'll enable spool assist. And spool assist, when on, will run the duty cycle at 100%. So that will keep the wastegate closed and give the turbo a chance to spool up really dramatically so you can start to reach your boost targets. So as we start to walk through the data log from left to right here, we'll start off and we're spooling. And then once we've reached a certain point, and that's called the control point offset. So here it's 7.3. So as soon as we are within 7.3 psi of our target here is going to be about 23.2. As soon as we're within 7.3 of our target, then the closed loop duty cycle is going to start to come into play. So start moving along here in the data log, and we continue spooling. We're getting closer. Our map pressure is here at 14 psi and up to 15 psi, and right here at about 16 psi we have reached that offset. So we're now within this 7 psi or so of our target. The next thing that's going to happen is we're going to enter this piece called delay time. Delay time, which you're going to set up right around here as your start delay. It's based on what RPM you're at, and the lower RPMs you're at, the more delay time you want. The higher RPMs you're at, the less delay time you want. Delay time is a way of allowing sort of the boost to settle down before we start controlling things. We don't want to start controlling it with closed loop too soon because it can lead to a lot of unnecessary oscillation. So that's our delay time, and now we're going to start moving further along. And as we start to get through this delay time, which we see it right here, it's 1.2 seconds. So we're going to start moving through our delay time, and then we're going to enter into closed loop active. Once we reach closed loop active, now our proportional, our integral, and our derivative are going to start to come into play to start to manage our boost to get us to our target and keep us there. So proportional is it's like our immediate correction. That's the one that's going to take the most effect if we're under boost or over boost in terms of managing amount of gain to get our wastegate duty cycle up or down a little bit to get us to where we need to be. Integral is a little bit more of a long-term management, and then derivative comes into play where, let's say, if you've got some correction that you need to manage if the rate of change is too high, and that is going to be a factor that we're going to notice is happening for us. So let's go and look as we continue to walk through the log. We're moving from our closed loop that we entered into here, and we start moving across, and we're going to see our proportional and our integral, and this derivative is really kind of excessive. Essentially, we really probably didn't need any derivative in here at all. So once we've reached a certain point, you can see the derivative gain is sort of out of bounds, right? And we got a huge swing right here of minus 172% on our boost short-term trim, and you can start to see it affect right here on our map pressure, starting to go haywire at this point in time. What's really happened here is that we reached or exceeded our max derivative limit. So the max derivative limit is usually kind of set up. Kind of set it up right here. You'll see it as 14.5, and clearly we are way past that 14.5, and so we're going to start to get some boost cut. It's going to start to swing back and forth, coming in and out, and that is going to wreak havoc. You saw it come again, back to max derivative limit with closed loop active, and this up and down swinging that we're going to see here, it actually showed up in the dyno graph exactly like this. So clearly we needed to get back in here and do a little bit better management of our proportional, integral, and derivative. Specifically, the real thing we needed to do was to kind of manage that derivative so that we weren't having these huge swings and losing control of our boost. All right, so with the wide open throttle fuel tuning completed, the boost tuning completed, then we can turn our attention to the last part, which is kind of the fun part, which is the MBT advanced timing. So minimum brake torque timing means that we're going to continue to add timing as long as one of two things occur or don't occur. We want to add timing as long as we continue to see that between the last timing boost run and this timing boost run, we continue to see more torque and more horsepower from one run to the next. And the other thing is that as soon as we start to see or experience any knock events, that's also going to be a red flag for us to stop adding timing in that RPM range and start to, in fact, probably take off a few degrees of timing just to keep us safe. So one of the areas we're going to look at, of course, initially is we want to kind of watch it around the lower RPM range. So the 4,000, 3,000 area, we want to kind of keep things in control here because this is where you're putting the most torque down on the engine. You're going to add timing, of course, as much as you can, but try to keep an eye on things and watch it as you add it. Usually, you're going to start to run out of MBT here down low first, and you'll find yourself being able to add more and more timing up higher. So this car is going to be running somewhere between 24 and 26 PSI. And with a red line of around 7,000, we were able to add more timing up top here as we progressed and probably stop adding timing down low. And that's going to get us to our highest horsepower numbers. One of the limitations of the Haltech Elite 550 unit is that it doesn't come with any ports to support a knock sensor. Running on the pump 93 octane fuel, we decided to keep things pretty conservative. Tuning without a knock sensor meant we'd have to go old school and read the strap on our spark plugs between runs to make sure we were staying and playing in the safe zone.
Oh boy.
All right, guys, so I'm here with Max and his dad. We just finished our last dyno run of the day. We met our goals. Our goal was what, Max? 400 horsepower, right? So we ended up with 420 horsepower, 412 torque. We maximized our timing. We cleaned up our fuel, and our boost was running at about 26 PSI. So overall, we met our goals. What do you guys want to say about the car? What about the history?
about the history of the car?
Yeah.
Well, had it pretty much since it was new.
That's right.
It's a little bit quicker now.
It's a family car. That's why we
right.
got everybody out here
That's
today.
right.
With us,
That's
We got friends and family. Mom is back there. Dante's here again.
That's right, Mom.
So
Mom drove them around when they were in their child seats.
Right. Learned to drive on this car too, so it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Pretty cool to see it here like this.
All
So.
right.
It's a rare Hyundai Sonata.
difference maker there. So yeah, 420, 412 on a pump 93 on this sleeper Hyundai Sonata. All I will tell you is if you pull up next to this car at the stoplight, do not be embarrassed if they leave you behind. All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap. This is RacerX Performance. We're all done at Countersteer once more, and we'll be back again in a couple days. Thanks, Max.
Thanks, man.
See you guys.